In this video, we're going to be looking at types of numbers. So in maths, numbers can be categorized into particular types. So we're familiar with seeing numbers such as 2, pi, fractions, decimals, and surds or square roots. But in this video, what I'm going to show you is how they are all related and what type of numbers they are. So let's have a look at this tree diagram. So as you can see here, we have two major categories at the top, that being real numbers and imaginary numbers. But in this video, we're not going to be looking at imaginary numbers, we're just going to be looking at real numbers. So, what is a real number? Real numbers can either be rational or irrational numbers. So let's have a look at what rational and irrational numbers are. So a rational number is pretty much in its name. It's a ratio of a number to another number. So that could mean a number such as a fraction, as a half is a ratio of 1 over 2, so that would be a rational number. Or a number like 3, because 3 can also be written as 3 over 1, so that's a ratio of 3 to 1. So this is what we have rational numbers. But irrational numbers are numbers that can't be written to a ratio. So if we had a number such as pi, for example, this is a symbol. We know what it represents, which is 3.14. But in the form of pi, we are unable to say what this ratio is to. And so that's why we call that an irrational number. Another example would be a square root number such as the square root of 2. So if we do the square root of 2, we won't actually get a whole number. And so we end up getting decimals. And because of this, we keep it in this form, in the form of a square root. So, and this is what we call a surd. And so because of this, this is what we call an irrational number as well. However, on the other hand, if we had the square root of 4, this can actually be simplified down to 2. So therefore, this would be a rational number. However, this wouldn't be a rational number, but that would be an irrational number instead. So now let's have a look at rational numbers in a bit more detail and just understand what type of rational numbers we have, such as integers and non-integer numbers. So let's have a look at that now. So what is an integer? An integer is any number from minus infinity to infinity, and it's best represented in a number line. So that's why I have this here. And with integer numbers, we actually have three types of integers. So the first type of integer numbers we have are whole numbers. And a whole number is any number starting from 0 moving in this direction in a number line. So 0, 1, 3, 20, and so on are examples of whole numbers. So next we have natural numbers. So what is a natural number? A natural number is any number starting from 1 going up in a number line. So a natural number would be a number such as 1, 2, 3, 100, and so on. And the difference between a natural number and a whole number is the 0. So a 0 is present in a whole number, but it isn't a natural number. And finally, the last type of number we have is a negative number. And what a negative number basically is any number going backwards on the number line. So we're familiar with seeing negative numbers already. So numbers such as -5, -21, and other numbers with this negative symbol in front of it. Another example of an integer number, as I mentioned earlier, would be 3 over 1, as this actually turns into 3. Or if we had a number such as 16 over 2, we could simplify this down to be 8 over 1, which will give us 8. So this is another example of a integer. So what is a non-integer number then? So a non-integer number is pretty much a decimal. So that would be 0.25, for example. This is a non-integer number. Or a fraction which actually is a decimal. So a fraction such as a third would give us 0.333 reoccurring. And so this is a non-integer number. So those are all our types of numbers. Just to recap, we have real and imaginary numbers, but in our everyday lives, we always deal with real numbers. And within real numbers, we have rational and irrational. And within rational numbers, we have integers and non-integers. And integer numbers can be broken down into whole, natural and negative numbers. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share and subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more videos like this in the future. And also, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below and I will be happy to answer the questions.